All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Next Possession Sports. Glad to have everybody here joining us. How's it going, Kamal?
It's going good, man. Just worry about this football season, if we're gonna have it or not.
Yeah, man. Listen, as you can see, COVID quarantine life has got me looking rough, man. Barbershops here open up next week, so hope by the time this next episode come, man, your boy got a nice cut, man.
Well, they opened up down here like a week and a half ago.
Yeah. I see, man. You took the beanie off.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Yeah. But yeah, man. So it's definitely been crazy. It's affected a lot of things. One thing that it has affected has been free agency for certain players. Mm-hmm. One of those being Cam Newton, who I know is somebody in the topic that you wanted to discuss. So I'll go ahead and let you.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because I live here in Charlotte, and I hate the Panther fans. I'm pretty sure you feel the same way about Eagles and Giants fans, being where you at. But it's crazy because you see, like when I first started my job, that was the season that the Panthers went to the Super Bowl. Everybody, are you a Panthers fan? I'm like, no, I'm an Eagles fan. I go, why? I said, because I've always been one. Then to this past season where everyone talking about, I think he's going through something. Like he needs to focus on football and stop focusing on fashion. And all these things that were unrelated to football. And so and COVID definitely has affected like workouts, because I'm pretty sure a lot of teams want to see him,
right?
See how his foot hanging up, like his foot holding up, because he had that Liz Frank injury. I also want to see how his throwing motion that didn't fully get displayed last season. But it's kind of like, why isn't this quarterback signed? Like, this quarterback, the most premium position in the league. You have a former MVP. I mean, granted, it was like 4 or 5 seasons ago, but still. And
yeah, I mean, like you said, former MVP who's 31.
Yeah, he's a year younger than me. Yeah, he's 31.
So, like I said, obviously, like I said, a quarterback who's 31 can have a good few years left in them. At the least, obviously bearing injury and things of that nature. So we're not talking about a 31-year-old running back or another position. That's a position where you see obviously in the NFL that can play longer into their career.
Yeah, and it was funny because last year I found myself defending Cam Newton so much, just like in conversations. It's like, well, he may need to go somewhere else. I'm like, look, one, yeah, I said the front office has done nothing to help Cam Newton. Do you know the Panthers have not drafted a offensive lineman in the first round since 2003? No, sorry, 2008 when they got Jeff Otah.
I mean, that the weapons I feel like that they put around them, they've always just kind of said, you do what you have. I think they spent for a while the most money on the backfield, which was overkill. The year you finally draft a receiver to complement Steve Smith, you send Steve Smith out of town. Like it never really made sense to me. Like I said, some of the things they did offensively there to help Cam. The defense while he was there was good, was talented. Like I said, they tried to build it around his run game and D'Angelo Williams and a couple other features. You had Steve Smith, Greg Olsen, but you never really had that other counter at receiver to really help him. And even in that year, like I said, that he went there. That was in the year when Kelvin Benjamin was injured. So like he did a lot with not as much talent on the outside as a lot of the quarterbacks in this league, especially if you just look right across the division in Atlanta, a team that
got all the
had, yeah, right.
So yeah, most organizations they try to build from the ball out. I don't know what Carolina been doing, but it's kind of I mean, you got teams where either they got a rookie quarterback or they have no quarterback. I mean, you can. I'm sorry, you cannot convince me that Jarrett Stidham is better than Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Not one bit. And so, and then of course he came out and said that he didn't want a backup role, which I agree. He should not. He should not take a backup role. But honestly, right now might have to play it. And so, if he were to take one starter or backup, what do you think is a good spot for him?
Starter or backup is one is the team we touched on in a previous episode. That's the Chicago Bears. We know that they traded for Nick Foles, so that for this season that does not look likely. They did not pick up Mitchell Trubisky's 5th-year option, so I think that still leaves them open to next season potentially. Another team will be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's time for them to move on from Ben Roethlisberger, and I think Cam going there would be a good fit to kind of just the makeup of that team, the makeup of that city, just what they do. I think that will be a good fit. But honestly, I think Cam can be a good fit anywhere. I mean, I think you can put Cam in Indianapolis. But obviously, they went and did Philip Rivers instead. If a team like Jacksonville wants to, actually go out and build around Cam the right way, Cam's better than Gardner Minshew. So, like, there's teams that he can go to where obviously he would be the starter. He would be better than who they have there now. But the way it looks like, the landscape, unfortunately for Cam, is that people are set with what they have at the starting position, and unless there's an injury, it doesn't look like he's getting brought in anywhere to be a starter, or unfortunately to even. I mean, I don't even want to say compete because he shouldn't even be competing for a starting position. And if I'm Cam, I wouldn't have walked back the I'm not signing a backup deal role. I would have, played the landscape, found, see if I found a situation that I like, or I will wait till next year.
So let me ask you this. As we've seen mobile quarterbacks, either they not last long or they have to severely alter their playing style. Do you think, even though he's only 31, that he has to alter his playing style?
I mean, I think anytime you're a mobile quarterback, you're a quarterback that's taking the hits that he has taken. There's always things you have to consider, especially if you start to get banged up, especially as you get older in age. If you even look at somebody like Tom Brady, who's not a mobile quarterback, who maybe hasn't taken a lot of hits, even he's changed up a lot of stuff, going to that very short and quick passing game to make sure that his body doesn't take a lot of hits. So there's definitely things that I think you can do to lengthen your career and to change up as your game grows and evolves. But it's not like Cam's never had an arm. It's not like so he has everything he needs to be able to play in whatever kind of system that, like I said, that he needs to. And he just has to limit the, like I said, the number of times that he's going to leave out of the pocket or hold on to the ball longer to take a hit. And instead of, lowering that shoulder over, when he sees a corner to possibly, step out of bounds, take that slide to just, live on to play the next play.
I'm going to give you a team that I think not only, now this is a backup role, but not only with the quarterback situation, but also the head coach. Now, I think it could be a good move for him going into next offseason. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. I feel like if he were to accept one, why not there? I mean, you're not going to be bigger than Patrick Mahomes. No one is right now. You got a head coach who knows how to handle quarterback personalities, from Mahomes, Alex Smith to Donovan McNabb, Mike Vick. And so also he can teach him how to actually play the quarterback position, because Cam hasn't had a real good quarterback coach ever. So that was my thoughts on that. I thought that'd be like a really good spot for him if he were to accept the backup role. And a lot of times later in the season, the Chiefs, they get up by so much, or by like week 17, they ain't got to play Mahomes, so he could up his stock there.
Yeah, like I said, I mean that's an interesting take on it. Like especially to your point of if they have a lead, Cam's not a quarterback that you're worried about. If I go to Cam, are we just going to lose his lead? And if you're trying to preserve Holmes' health, it was a time last year where Mahomes was, a little banged up with his knee, and Andy Reid sends him on a QB dive, like to have people pile on him, and he got hurt. He got taken off the field, and I think a lot of people at that time was like, why would you put your quarterback in that situation? And if you have a quarterback like Cam now, if he's banged up a little bit, you can rest until he gets back to full health. You can. So I mean that's a very, very interesting take. It's not one that's crossed my mind. It'd be interesting to see if Cam will be willing to take a role like that for a year, and what kind of playing time, if any, that they would promise him, or would it be just in case Mahomes gets banged up or anything like that. But that's but that would be interesting, definitely an interesting role. And if he did get playing time, like I said, with that talent, with that team, with that offense, for franchises to see him in that role, I mean, obviously he would shoot directly back up on teams' boards and would be rightfully where he needed to be next year. But I don't know if I'm Cam, do I even risk taking the backup role and risking injury again, or would I sit out a year knowing I'm Cam and knowing there's going to be spots open up next year? Next year I'm going to be even more healthy than I am this year. I'm going to be able to go to teams and let their doctors check me out and things of that nature, perform or whatever. So I just think if it's not a starting role, if I'm Cam, I wouldn't be opposed to sitting this year out.
Yeah, that too. And I also say that because, one of the biggest knocks on Cam is his maturity. And so if he were to take a backup role and actually support the starter, that would change the narrative, the unfair narrative I think he has.
I was just about to say that. I think that whole maturity thing is definitely an unfair characteristic that they're giving him, and unfortunately, it's one of those things that it's not the same when it's a quarterback of another race. How they view and how they talk about Cam, when it's passion and when it's not. I mean, you're going to tell me this is the same quarterback that has his whole team, his whole offense convinced them to give the balls after a touchdown to little kids in the stands.
This is the same quarterback that got in a car accident on Thursday and still played Sunday. The car flipped.
And you're going to tell me this is the guy that people want to call, immature or not mature enough or whatever that is, or like that to me is a cop out, and it's only something because it is Cam and because he's flashy. He's not what they're used to. That does not make him not mature enough.
Yeah, and I'm just tired. People Cam been getting attacked since the incident at Florida, and so I mean the thing at Auburn, there was stuff with his dad. Then he come in the league and people still getting on him, like think that he can't read the offense and stuff like that. And so I'm just tired of this constantly. It's like always out to get him, but it's like it's really unfair. And even dating back to like when they went 15-1, and he celebrated in end zone, and some mom wrote him a letter saying they didn't think that I was appropriate. And it's like you got
meanwhile,
Aaron Rodgers going around doing a discount double check.
Exactly.
Like, okay. So
exactly.
Yeah, but speaking of Nashville, there are some rumors with Kaep right now.
There are.
So, one, I'm going to ask you, how do you feel about him going to Tennessee? And two, what does Kaep signing in the league mean now?
I mean, I welcome Kaep back if Kaep wants back in the league any year. this year, last year, next year, whatever that looks like. I feel like that's well deserved. He should not have been out of the league. Period. And hopefully he gets his like I said, he gets his chance to show everybody again what he's made of, because I think a lot of people have forgotten the level of quarterback that Kaep had shown in the league. That last year in San Fran was, that was just a dumpster fire in every single type of way. And people want to put a lot of stuff at the foot of Cam that they wouldn't put on other quarterbacks. But as far as what it does for the league now, I don't think it makes the league. It doesn't erase the league stance on it a couple years ago. And like I said, so I still think that our last episode we talked about the NFL's first apology or the first statement on the riots and everything at that time, and how we didn't agree with it. We needed more. They came back again, had another statement talking about they should listen to the players early, and to me that still wasn't enough either. They need to directly say Kaep in a statement and address that. Eric Reid's another one right now who was released from the Panthers and is out of a job again. So I just think, like I said, there's a lot that could happen, but ultimately Kaep should be in the league. Now, as far as the Titans go, I think that will be actually a very good fit for him. The reason being, I think, one, it's a quarterback that will be ahead of him on a depth chart. While Tennessee while they did extend him, I think Tennessee does have some questions on what Ryan Tannehill could be long term. Did Ryan Tannehill catch lightning in the bottle? Is he actually just turning the corner? Because it took some time for him to develop, since he transferred from receiver to quarterback late in college, was in Miami, maybe in a franchise, in a system that just wasn't structured, wasn't really best fit to develop him and his skills. And is this, is this Ryan Tannehill really some quarterback that's going to continue to progress? But even if so, like Kaep at his best is better than what Tannehill shown last year. So if Kaep can kind of regain that, you have a quarterback that's going to allow him to be able to take time to learn the playbook, get reacclimated, all of that. But if at some point he has to step in and play with the type of receivers they have, with the run game they have also, and his ability to also run, like, I just think it opens up a lot, and it's a good fit. I mean, it's obviously a team that made it to the AFC Championship game last year. They have a good defense. They just have a lot of good things, I think, around him, and it wouldn't put him in a place where he would have to do everything. Like, Jacksonville's a team, a team that I feel can still possibly use an upgrade at quarterback. Yes, maybe Gardner Minshew is going to continue to improve and progress, but if he went there, it'd be a lot different. Where that's a team that not a lot of weapons, defense is not what it was a couple years ago. It'll be all on Kaep, and now if Kaep starts a game there or two and is losing, but it's really because of the total team product around him. Now what's the now what people are going to say about Kaep and him coming back and whether it's just a lot. I think him going to a winning team with a lot of things around him would definitely be a great fit.
Yeah, I agree, because the narrative was before, when of course he took his team to the Super Bowl, then it was because he had a good coach, because he had a good supporting cast, which is the nature of football, because that's why you don't see a lot of one-man teams in the Super Bowl. And then he gets hurt and he come back and he plays for Chip Kelly, who had just got fired from the Eagles, and they had a dumpster fire of a season, as you mentioned. And then it was, oh, he's vegan, oh, this, oh, that, oh, he didn't have a good season. Like, he was on a bad team, and his coach got fired.
Even before Chip Kelly, he had Tom Sula.
Oh my God, I forgot about him.
so let's talk about what San Fran was doing. They got rid of Harbaugh because he
They,
was he
they,
was
they didn't like his voice.
he was too tough to work with, and all he cared about was winning, and like it was all nonsense. So you let a good coach go who got you to the Super Bowl, and then like I said, you give Tom Sula the job, and that year was a disaster. And then you bring in Chip Kelly, who left a building half burning in Philly when he left. And thought that was going to be any better. So it was just a lot of, bad decisions that he had to deal with and suffer through. So he saw the good, he saw the bad. But at the end of the day, like if you look at some of his stats, I mean, his touchdown to interception ratio was still good. He just wasn't going to be able to perform with the weapons that he had there on offense.
His last season, his best receiver was Jeremy Curley. I don't think Jeremy Curley's still in the league anymore.
No, I think the year before that he was like the Jets' third receiver.
Yeah,
and that was a receiving core that was maybe one of the worst in the league. So, like you said, for him now to go to San Fran and be their top receiver, that shows you what he had to deal with.
Yeah, I looked at it how him getting signed now was almost like how they presented the new Rooney Rule. It was very disingenuous, and also it's kind of all right. Why now? Because it works in your benefit. And before everyone was opposed to it, and so it's kind of like I don't know. I mean, of course, I mean no one actually ruled on it, but a lot of us assumed that there was collusion within the NFL to not signing Cap. Now is it collusion to sign him just so the nation can shut up and stop burning? So that's how I look. And then it's kind of like, will they do him like and granted it's for a different reason, but how Myron Rose said he was kicked out of NFL because all his knowledge of because he was he I forgot what he does now, but
he's a neurosurgeon.
Neurologist. Yeah, neurosurgeon. Yeah, and so he worked with the brain. All of a sudden came around CTE. It was kind of like
right. So he was studying concussion,
and he also played for the Titans. So is it kind of one of those where they get him on a team and then because he ain't played in 4 years, and then they cut him at training camp and like, see, look, it's the reason why he was out of football for these past 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like I said. So it's definitely a lot of different things. I think one of the reasons why maybe he wasn't named in that last apology or a statement from the NFL is possibly because of lawsuits that are currently currently are unfinished. And if they come out apologizing, does that prove them as being guilty or not being able to defend whatever suits that are out there? So I think it's a lot out there. But at the end of the day, if Cap wants to play football and wants to play NFL, I want to see him at the highest level. So it may be ingenuous, but if it gets him back in the league, it's still something that I would welcome. But like I said, that's why I don't think it completely wipes away. It completely wipes clean what the NFL did before that. There's still a lot of changes that they have to continue to make before I'm satisfied. Like just giving him his job back, doing something that you should have been done doesn't earn you a A+.
Yeah, the commissioner should have been. I mean, if you're gonna be ballsy enough to make a statement, be ballsy enough to admit where you were wrong, who you wrong,
right.
and then call everybody out. Like if you're gonna do that, call everybody out.
Yeah. So he came out recently saying that he encourages a Cap signing and things of that nature. There's been some rumors that he's always been on that side of things, but unfortunately he works for the 32 owners. But a lot of that to me is all BS. If he was going to take a stand when it matters, not now. Like I said, when everybody has started to turn that corner and agree with you, all the companies now are trying to make statements, and that they cannot not be against you now if stuff were to happen because of how the temperature has changed in regard to this topic. So like I said, it's all weird. Speaking of Goodell, it was rumors that the NFL was starting to possibly look for his successor, his current contract is up. I think in 2023. So it'll be interesting to see if Goodell's takes on how he's handled the cap situation in the beginning, how he's handling it now. Is his statement now still against what the owners want, because we haven't really still heard many owners speak out about it yet. But is he saying, if they're gonna replace me anyway, let me show that I'm on the side of right and kind of throw the owners under the bus. So like it's very interesting with the timing of everything, and what the reasoning of this play by Goodell really means.
Yeah, I saw there was rumors that in some circles that it might be a former player who could be in that seat in 2024, I guess. So, and just seeing how these owners operate, they don't like anybody something to do with their money, and none of them have ever played at the professional level. So if you have a former player who actually know the players, know the locker rooms, and hold the owners accountable, I think it'd be a very interesting dynamic. I also see it as a potential very much needed chaotic dynamic as well.
I mean, I really think it depends on who that player is, because there's a lot of players who become corporate, who become part of the part of the machine. If that player really was going to be on the voice of the player, would that player become the head of the NLPA? Like, would the owners put in a player who they know is for the players and not for the owners as commissioner? But all 32 owners are going to have to agree and vote on who gets the spot. So I don't see them, like I said, to that point, putting someone there. But it'd be interesting to see like where they go on on the heels of all this. Like, how crazy would it be, if the commissioner was actually African American or a minority? Like it would be, like I said, it will be dope. It will be dope to see, but it's not something that unfortunately I expect with the NFL and how they do hiring at top positions throughout the league.
Yeah. So as we kick this call off, we talked about COVID, and now we're getting into a space where it really might affect the start of the season, where these around a time of like OTAs and stuff like that. However, some organizations, they're not even in the building yet, and so I guess, and then of course recently came out that the Texans and the Cowboys both had players test positive for COVID. So talk to me about how you see it potentially affecting the season.
I mean, it's going to be definitely something interesting to watch. You mentioned the Cowboys and Texans supposedly having multiple players test positive. One of those players, being Ezekiel Elliott, was the only one who was confirmed, which is a whole nother case on his own. I don't know if you saw him on Twitter, saying was this a HIPAA violation, because they called his agent to confirm the information and his agent didn't leak it. So it was like how did you get the information that actually tested positive? So Zeke was mad about how it went out. People tried to make it seem like his agent leaked it. He was saying they called his agent with the story already in the report written up. They called him just to kind of confirm everything. So it's just a real interesting situation. Obviously, no other names have been released yet. Haven't heard any names from the Texans at this time. Anybody else from the Cowboys at this time? But they're going to isolate the players from what I'm reading. If a player does test positive from it, but if it happens in the preseason, happens early on, I don't think it's much of anything to worry about. But if this were to happen in season, and now say you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you're the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's the Chiefs, before they got to go play Baltimore, and Patrick Mahomes gets it. What happens? Like that's, now they got to go in and play with their backup quarterback. And what if it's more than Patrick Mahomes? And now what if it's 10 players on the team, and you have less numbers than what you would normally dress in a regular game or situation. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays how it plays out with the potential COVID. Will they allow you to dress? Maybe carry more players on the practice squad. It's going to be very interesting to see how, like I said, how present, especially with a potential second wave in the fall. Like what, like if next fall, winter, we get a new version of this, or we get a second wave of this late into the season, and now you have close to playoff time where things are picking back up. It's going to be very interesting how to monitor, to see how it goes, to see what happens. To your point, OTAs and things like that will be going on generally right around now. There has been some talks about them shortening the preseason to 2 games, which is also another effect on this, because those last 2 games of a preseason is where a lot of your late round draft picks, your undrafted free agents actually make a team, because they have time to get some film in. And now if you cut down 2 games, that second, that first game really is now your dress rehearsal, as opposed to the third preseason game being that dress rehearsal where your starters are playing, a half of that game. So to really only have maybe 3 quarters worth, where you got to kind of cycle through how many players to get some reps and film in. There's definitely, like I said, a domino effect on how COVID can.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, shoot, Hall of Famer Terrell Davis, he ain't make the team to the 4th preseason game. And also, you talk about as far as like, because if someone like contracts, you got to be quarantined for 14 days. So you talking about a potential starter missing 2 games if you're not in a bye week. And so I saw today Doug Peterson, coach of the Eagles, said that for training camp, because you got 90 players, they're going to use the stadium, so they can probably use both locker rooms, the home and away, just to encourage social distancing, and just so they can keep all their players healthy. So yeah, and it does beg the question. So are you able to carry more than 53 players on the roster going into the season, knowing how it is? It'd be interesting to see if the NFL becomes a little bit more flexible in some of their policies and procedures as the season is coming up.
Right. And maybe if it's not 53, do they grant everybody just a extra third quarterback spot on a team to, in case a quarterback goes down? Because generally that's a position where you only have, some teams only carry 2. And especially with learning a playbook, things of that nature, would they allow, an extra quarterback position or what have you? So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens, and to see how, is COVID behind us? Is there another wave coming? Like I said, obviously we've seen what's happening, with some of the SEC schools, with Alabama, and some of their players testing positive when they came back for spring practices early. So, like I said, it's definitely something to watch and to take serious. I know some people want to write it off and be done with everything and just get back to normal, but it's still something that's very real and that's out there.
Definitely. That's all we got, man.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's been real wrapping it up, man. But good talking sports, and we'll catch y'all next time.
All right.